And good morning. This is Victoria Savage, Nurse Savage on your side, and we're back for the third installment in our Freeing the Sandwich Generation webinar. Today's topic is maintaining mental sharpness. How do we help our aging loved ones? What are some of the things we can actually do? And again, remember, please stay all the way to the end because I've got some things that I think you'll find really helpful, both for you and your aging parent, as well as your aging process to make that a little bit more of something you'd rather have it be. So mental sharpness, what are some of the things that help increase our mental sharpness? Socialization opportunities and mental activity or stimulation. And I liken this point when people talk to me about their aging loved one and there's been no diagnosis of dementia, when we drill down to it and find out that they're spending most of their time alone, those gears up there in that brain get rusty and they get slow. And so people think that mom or dad might be getting dementia, and it turns out there's just nothing challenging them. There's nothing keeping those gears up there lubricated. And so the process of thinking becomes slower and more labored. Lifelong learning is another great tool, and it really kills two birds with one stone because generally in a classroom setting, you're around a group of people, and oftentimes a group of people in different age groups. So what's one way you can help increase socialization opportunity, and why is it important? Well, the power of interaction is huge, and being able to get out with a group of people, regardless of really what the setting is really a very helpful brain tool. What is really good in the aged is that the senior centers offer a lot of that possibility to them. Generally, I mean, not every senior center, but most of them have some pretty good programs going on, not to mention just lunch, but that kills two birds with one stone because they eat better when they eat in a social setting, as well as they're getting that opportunity to visit. And identification, the age group and who they're normally with and the history that they share is a powerful thing and gives them commonality. And relationships really just hone our thoughts. You know, they're a positive thing for the most part. Certainly at senior centers, you may get a few tense interactions, but really not a bad thing either for keeping the brain sharp, having them think about something that frustrated them or made them angry. The power of interaction. Isolation is a form of torture, and for many of our aging loved ones across the country, they're home all day alone, nobody to talk to, nothing to think about, the television to talk back to, and that's it. Well, the thinking processes get pretty dim, and people will think that they're getting dementia, and it's really they just don't have any interaction. Interaction stimulates thought processes and firing of the brain synapses and neurons and keeps it sharp. If you just don't have any of that, your ability to think becomes stiff. And perspectives of other help keep thinking limber. Even those perspectives, sometimes especially the perspectives that you don't agree with, are really instrumental in honing our thought processes and keeping our mental status much sharper. Identification with your own age group. Group dynamics are huge because there's more than one personality. You're going to be hearing different parts of conversation. Conversation itself is kind of like a chess game. You don't know what the other person's going to say. You don't quote unquote know the moves they're going to make. And so you're thinking ahead to what you want to say, and then they throw something in there and you've got to shift gears and address another type of point. It's huge for maintaining mental sharpness. The other thing that socialization works against, obviously, is social isolation. And it's shown that people who are socially isolated have more longer-term illnesses, more depression, more dementia, and more engagement in unhealthy habits like drinking, because they're pretty much trying to dull their feelings of sadness, as well as cigarette smoking, which is a boredom thing. And then, of course, sharing commonalities of age group. Your history, they get the jokes that you tell, and there's power in that. But there's also power in making friends in a variety of age group, and this is where helping them get involved in some types of volunteer activity is really good for them because they get exposed to younger people, and the younger people get exposed to them. And there are definitely kindred spirits that can cross over age groups. My 96-year-old client and I look at each other, as well as my mother-in-law, who would be well over 100 now, always knew that had we been closer in age, we would have been best friends because we were kindred spirits. And then brain sharpening tools, and there's lots of opportunities out there. Lumosity is great. If they work on the computer at all, Maybe they have some kind of pad. Lumosity is awesome. It's less than about 10 minutes a day, and it has a running score so you can see how well you're doing. And then games, different types of games, card games, board games, and word games. And senior centers are good for that too. Crosswords, word search, Sudoku puzzles, trivia. We had a little gal in the nursing home who was totally gone mentally. She was just the sweetest thing. But you'd get her in a trivia game, and Mill the Pill, as she called herself, knew the answers. So it's always a great thing to do. Card games, game night, if they can get together with a group of friends or family, it is, again, it kills so many birds with one stone. Calculation games. And lifelong learning. You know, many of the universities offer classes and community education, but universities will offer credits to people over 60, like our local one offers them for $5 a credit. One of the gals I just read about has 18 degrees, and she's like 94. And she just keeps going to school for the joy of going to school. It also gets her involved in, you know, younger age groups and gives her something else to think about. Community education is usually very inexpensive, and again, gives you opportunity to get involved and really stimulate your thought processes. And local libraries have classes, or you could be one, or they could be one teaching some of these classes, teaching community ed. I bet there's a skill that they've got that somebody needs to learn about, so that's another opportunity. And then a huge thing is expectation and the power of hope. People often expect that they're going to decline, and indeed they do. And I don't have time in this video to share a story about a study done in the 70s, but it was powerful. And in this next set of video webinars I'm going to do, I will be sharing that story, because totally the power of expectation turned around lives. So again, look for opportunities to get engaged and stay engaged, because also being purposeful is, or having a purpose is really important. Show your loved one examples of other people in their age group doing things. I have an old man friend who actually passed away this summer, and he virtually was blind. He was 93, he lives downtown, and he would go out every day. I mean, he could have peripheral vision, he had macular degeneration, and so he would go out daily to the coffee shops around town. He had friends all over town. He has a Facebook page with over 1,500 people, because he was still working at age 83 at Yellowstone National Park and managing all the summer help. So his Facebook page was full of people from around the world. He wasn't anything special. He just chose to stay engaged in life. So there are other factors contributing to mental decline: medications, side effects, and interactions with other medications. So make sure that's addressed with their physician, know what the side effects are. Nutritional deficits, we spoke about that a little bit earlier in the webinar series. And then dehydration, which we haven't talked about, is huge. So you want to make sure they're getting at least a couple quarts of water a day if possible. So let's go back and take a look at what we've talked about in this series of webinars. First, nutrition and the role it plays in mental and physical function as it relates to balance, and then certainly some exercises and things you can do to maintain better balance overall. And then declining mental status. All of these things are addressable and are reasons that people fail needlessly, and that's certainly something that I'm all about. It is always easier to prevent something than it is to fix it. You probably hear my dogs in the background. Sorry about that. Listen, has your parent ever said this to you? Please don't put me in a nursing home, or I want to stay in my own home for as long as possible. I remember one person saying, you might as well shoot me as put me in a nursing home. Well, I've got some really good news for you, because there are several more factors than what we've talked about in these webinars. Medication, we haven't talked about those, but those are huge for contributing to needless decline. Brain health, different things you can do to help keep the brain healthier and recover from some of the maybe traumatic brain injuries that happen. Expectations, we didn't talk much about that. Certainly their environment and what can be done about that. Hydration, we need to visit a little more about that. Physical movement overall and how that helps to maintain independence. Medical conditions, disease and infections. knowing about them, what you can do about them, how you can decrease their flare-ups so that they don't get too bad before they're treated. And then the different psychosocial aspects, you know, understanding what our parents are facing and what they're going through makes it a little bit easier sometimes for us to deal with what they're expecting from us. So I just wanted to let you know about my series that I am just going to release here in the next few days called Help Your Aging Parent Live Independent Longer. And this is a total webinar series that you can purchase. And you can go through, it'll be broken down into different areas. You may know of some of the things that are affecting your parent that you need some answers to, or you may want to go through start to finish. I'm going to make the modules short and easily digestible, but this is the exact the exact assessment I do when I go into a home. It's called my Senior Success Assessment, and I'm going to walk you through the eyes of a professional nurse and let you know the things you want to look at, what you might be seeing, and how to deal with those. And it's an inexpensive way to help your aging parent stay independent longer. And normally when I am hired to go into someone's home and do this complete assessment and give them a written report, the cost is $497. But I have worked really hard to make this accessible to so many more people. So for you, I am allowing this total assessment to be sold for just $97. And that is a savings of $400. And you'll have the benefit of seeing your parent through the eyes of a nurse and getting an idea of what just might be coming down the pike that they are going to be facing or what they already are facing and how you can deal with it. So I told you at the end I would have a couple free gifts for you, and I do. So some of you might have this one already because you've listened and looked at some of my other emails, but the first one is 7 ways to help your aging parent get more protein. And that's still listed, different types of protein, different ideas, how to get it in for them and what might make it a little more palatable and how you can tell if they need more. And the second is my MD visit sheet so that you can take better control of your own doctor's visit or their own doctor visit. So you get everything out of it. The doctor understands what he needs to understand and you get what you need as well. And then for you, I have the successful aging principles, and they're just 20 principles that really help guide you in creating an aging process you're going to be more enjoying. It's going to be more enjoyable for you, and you're going to live better longer and know these tips and tricks that are really important, that are simple, but unless you address them and start looking at them a little differently, you're not going to know, and you may fall into some of the traps that keep people from doing as well as they might. This is Victoria Savage, and soon you will be seeing a email or a Facebook post from me where you can buy Help Your Aging Parent Live Independently Longer. This is Victoria Savage, Nurse Savage on your side.